To wait for the word. Good afternoon, everyone. Are we recording, Phil?
Yes, you know.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, it's so lovely to see everyone today. And nice to see Rachel. Thank you for coming, Rachel. It's lovely to see you. I know, has anybody else here for the first time or not been for a while? In this lovely festive room, isn't it lovely in here? It's reminding us now of the coming season that our Saviour, of the celebration of the Saviour's birth. So welcome everyone who's here and welcome all those online, and a special welcome to our Phil, who we know will bring God's word to us. But before we do that, we're going to join in worship and sing. The Lord's my shepherd, and after that, Phil will speak to us.
The Lord's my shepherd, I'm not want, and He makes me lie in pastures green. He leads me by the still waters. His goodness restores my soul, and I will trust in You. And I will trust in You alone. For Your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. He guides my ways in righteousness, and He anoints my head with oil, and my cup it overflows with joy. I feast on His loving eyes, and I will trust His goodness, and I will trust His You alone. For Your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. And though I walk the darkest night, I will not fear the evil one, for You are with me, and Your rod and staff are the comfort I need to know. And
afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I thought we'd let June do the introduction so you're not looking at me all dinner time. Yeah, I know, it's a blessing, isn't it, not to have to look at me all the time. I'm thinking of doing an audio one week, so I'll just do it from out there somewhere. Yeah, it's on the street, out on the street. I want to just start with my first reading. I'm working on 2 readings today. I'm just going to start on the first one, which is from Exodus. And it's Moses has been called by God to go up Mount Sinai for the 2nd time after the tablets have been broke. He asks for Moses to go back up again, and the Lord speaks to him, and it's what the Lord actually says to him at one point in this reading that I'm going to speak about. So the Lord said to Moses, "Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready in the morning and then come up on Mount Sinai. Present yourself to me there on top of the mountain. No one is to come with you or be seen anywhere near the mountain. Not even the flocks and herds may graze in front of the mountain." So Moses chiselled out 2 stone tablets like the first ones and went up Mount Sinai. This was early in the morning, as the Lord had commanded. And he carried the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Then the Lord came down in a cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name. This is the bit that's important for today. So then the Lord came down in a cloud, stood there with him and proclaimed his name. The Lord. And he passed it in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness." And there's one word I'm picking out of that as a subject today, because there's so many messages just in that one sentence. And I'm picking out the compassionate. And compassion is mentioned, I think when I read, I think it was 145 times in the Bible. So compassion is a very important word throughout the Bible. So what is compassion? Compassion literally means to suffer together. It's defined as that feeling that arises when you're confronted with another's suffering and you feel motivated to relieve that suffering. It's different from empathy. Empathy is more about understanding another person's feelings. I just want to give you a quick example of what I feel when I felt compassion. Funnily enough, this morning we went for breakfast because I had some blood tests, so we went for breakfast early doors. And when we went to the cafe to have a Barbara was shutting the car boot, she shut the car boot on her head. And she said, "You're not bothered about me, are you?" And I said, "Well, no, because I can see you're all right." I said that was me being compassionate, that love. I could see she was all right, so I didn't feel there's anything to be compassionate about. But at the other end of that spectrum, when Barbara was in hospital last year, the point of when I took her to the hospital, 7 o'clock in the morning at Christie's, and they shut that door because I couldn't go in, obviously. They take Barbara in and you have to leave. At that point, I know it's easy to say this, but I think this is how I felt. If somebody had said to me, "Look, do you want to take a place?" I would have done. I would have took a place and I'd have gone in and had the operation for her. I'm not saying I'm a saint. It was just that moment that I know I felt that way. Our God, who is so compassionate, doesn't just feel like that in the odd moment. Our God is like that all the time. It's compassion's wanting and having a desire to help A real desire, not just thinking, oh, well, I hope you're all right. It's wanting to have that desire and to want to help. So I'm just going to look at the second reading, and it's an example of when Jesus showed compassion. I'm just going to try and break that slightly down. And we all, I shouldn't say this, because I once said to Barbara in my early days in church, a preacher was at the front and he said, we all know this reading. Well, I didn't. I didn't know that reading. So I shouldn't say we all know this reading. I'm looking around the room and I'm thinking, yeah, well, I know most people here have been within the church for a long time. That's why I'm saying that. There's people online, somebody might watch for the very first time who's never heard this reading. So let's just go on to that. And it is, it's the story of the feeding of the 5,000. And prior to this story, Jesus and his disciples had just returned from being on what you could almost call a preaching tour. They'd been out and about, and they were trying to find a quiet place to rest. But they were followed by crowds of people wanting to hear more. When I'm going home, I will be checking behind me. Just in case anybody wants to follow me to hear more. I won't look too hard, don't worry. But that's what they were doing. They'd been out preaching, they'd been out, and the crowd were following on behind. They just wouldn't leave them alone. So they crossed the water in a boat, still looking for a quiet spot, but the crowd had followed them. And at this point, this is where compassion comes in right away before the reading. Jesus didn't get angry. It wasn't a case of, oh, I wish they'd go away. Stop bothering me. That's not what he did. He wasn't impatient, he showed compassion. He saw them as sheep, as we just played The Lord's My Shepherd. He saw them as sheep without a shepherd. That's what Jesus saw at that moment. And he wasn't for leaving them, he wasn't for ignoring them. He was there to show them that compassion, to give them what they wanted. So let's just do the reading and then we'll delve into it a bit more. It's from Matthew 14, 13 to 21. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowd followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place. It's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." At this point, the disciples said, we have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. "Bring them here to me," he said, and he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate the food was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. This miracle is the only one that is told in all 4 Gospels. Slightly different, the same story, but it's all told slightly different because it comes from different people's education and experiences, but it's the same miracle, it's the same story. And the setup is that Jesus and the disciples have been followed by this large crowd, as I explained. And when it got late, it said the disciples became concerned about feeding the people. These days now, we'd have burger vans, wouldn't we? Where there's a crowd, there's a burger van. Or a spud you like. And even Uber Eats, we'd have all these mopeds running around, won't we, delivering the food now. They have nothing like that. And if we imagine the scene, it says it's called the feeding of the 5,000, but it also says there, besides women and children. And scholars say there could be 20 to 25,000 people in this crowd. Not just 5,000, it could be 20 to 25,000 people in the crowd. And just on another side, there's another miracle involved here, because Jesus didn't have one of these. He didn't have them, but he still communicated with all these people. Again, that's another message, isn't it? But there we go. So, first question is, did the disciples themselves show compassion? We'd like to think so. Or was they looking for an excuse to get the rest they needed? In other words, well, I think it's about time now, Jesus. Let's send them away to get some food. We don't know, do we? We don't know. But that might have been the case. Because remember, they wouldn't have eaten for a time either. They wouldn't have just been tired. They wouldn't have eaten. But even if this had been the case, Jesus was having none of it. There was no way he was sending these people away. His compassion was greater than his need for food and for rest. And the food, it comes from a young boy in the crowd. Was this an act of compassion from this young boy? I mean, he could have disappeared into the crowd with his food, couldn't he? He could have gone off somewhere and said, do you want to buy some food? It'd been easy for him, because he wouldn't have been a wealthy lad, would he? But he didn't, he stayed there. Was it that he was being compassionate, or was he put on the spot? Was it the case of he was willing to share his food because all eyes were on him? I'm saying these for a reason. This is a bit like devil's advocate, isn't it, in a way. I'm on the fence saying these things. We don't know the real reason why he gave them. We know that Jesus was in command. We know that Jesus was in charge of all of this. But in the boy's mind. But another example there is that a small deed changed so many lives at that point, didn't it? Which is another lesson for us. Years ago, Barbara and myself, we were part of the MAYC, the Methodist Association of Youth Clubs. And we used to do the yearly retreat over to London, taking the kids over. Did you ever go, Rachel?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Did you go when we was on it as well? Yeah. And it was great fun. It's great. That makes me feel really old.
And me.
Yeah, you're only 16 now, aren't you? Yeah, it was a great time of fellowship for us, as well as teaching the young people and watching them enjoy and envelop themselves in it. But we was out one day. I'll have told you this story, I'm sure I have in a different context. We was out one day and we bought these pork and onion pies.
Remember this?
Yeah. And we was walking up the streets and we both had one each, and I said, I'm keen on these. Are you? And she said, no, not really. And it was at this point we saw a tramp. In them days it was a tramp, now he'd be a homeless man, wouldn't it? Going through a bin. So I said, oh, good opportunity. So we approached him, and I said to him at the time, I said, excuse me, I said, could you use these? I said, well, you know, you can have them if you want them. And he said, why are they pork? I said, yes. He said, no thanks, I can't stomach pork. Which at the time we were gobsmacked, but he couldn't stomach pork, he was eating from a bin. But like the boy in the story, I don't know that we offered them pies out of compassion. He just happened to be there and we didn't like the pies. Was that the case at the time? Would we have offered him those pies if we both said, oh, these are nice, aren't they? Would we have still offered them? I don't know. I'd like to say yes, we would. But you don't know, do you, until it happens. We might have felt pity. It's difficult to know sometimes. Am I doing something out of compassion? Or am I doing what is expected of me? I say we might have felt pity on that man. We might have felt empathy. But as I say, would we have offered him if it had been something we liked? We've got all these charities, fantastic charities going around, haven't we? And things like Children in Need and Comic Relief, The Big Issue, and many more charities. And they do good work. And we see millions of pounds raised when they have the special events and things. I know there's things going on all year, but we see it on the television, don't we? That they've got all these, they make all this money. And they may do good work, but would the millions raised be forthcoming if the public had to go out and contribute without being asked? Again, you're put on the spot a bit, aren't you? It's nice that people say, well, I'll donate. But is that compassion again, or is that a type of empathy, or we should give something, shouldn't we? Please, I am not criticising people who give to charities. This isn't a dig at people. It's just an example of how the human can work. I'll tell you another story. This is me. I always aim it at me. So nobody can say, you were criticising such a body. What about yourself? A few years ago, East Oldham and some of the surrounding churches did the homeless project, night shelter. So it was over the winter months, and each church, each night, put a group of, not always the same, but a group of homeless men up. It had to be just male. There was no provision to do male and female, so they decided on male. And one of the provisions was that certain nights, if it was at your church, certain people would volunteer and would stay. I volunteered and I stayed. I didn't want to. I did not want to. It wasn't my idea of fun. I did it because I thought, well, I suppose I should. It was sort of expected of me. And I got there, and I'd been there about half an hour. Remember, I've not gone here full of joy and compassion in my heart. I've gone here, like as I said, feeling that I should go. I've been there about half an hour when one of the lads who I had met before at various things just verbally abused me. It was a case of, he was having to go at me as if, what do you know? You're not living like me. And I hadn't done anything, or said anything. He just decided he was going to have a pop at somebody. And I happened to be there at the time. And in a way, I suppose, he maybe recognised the fact that I was thinking, oh, I don't really want to be here. I don't know. But anyway, he had a go at me. And it was at that point I thought, what am I doing here? I didn't want to be there to start with, and then this guy who I'm there to help, not personally but be part of, is verbally abusing me. So I was there probably showing some empathy, but I was definitely not showing compassion. And then a few weeks later, just to put the tin hat on it, me and Barbara were walking through Oldham. Barbara, I don't know if she remembers this or not, and we came across this same man in the town centre. He made a beeline to Barbara. Oh yeah, he was having a right good natter with Barbara. I don't really remember this, but he obviously had a drink. But he made a beeline for Barbara, and he was having a right good natter with her. And I went over and sort of said, hiya, and his reaction was something like, get out! I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to her. So twice the same man verbally abused me. And I remember walking away. I can't remember what I was thinking, but I'll tell you what, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'd love to help you. I wasn't thinking that's almost certain. I felt no compassion for that man at all at that moment. In fact, I think empathy had gone out of the window as well. Like I say, I don't stand up here pretending to be perfect. So I did it all wrong. And sometimes we let our feelings take us down dark roads as well. In Jonah, he's I'm not going to do the reading, but God asked him to go and teach the people of, Charlie pronounced this, Nineveh, is it? Or Nineveh. Nineveh. Sorry, my pronunciations are terrible. Nineveh. He's asked them to go and teach the people of Nineveh of the wickedness in the city. And Jonah decides that it's better to try and run away from God, because he knows that God will forgive them if they repent. And Jonah feels they don't deserve it. That's what Jonah thinks. They don't deserve forgiveness. So I'm not going there. I'm not being part of this. And we all need to take heed of this, because it's easy for us to judge others. Like I was judging that man. I was walking away thinking, oh well, sort yourself out there. So I was judging him, wasn't I? I think we forget, don't we, sometimes as well, the things we've done in the past. The thoughts we might have had, the things we may have physically done that have been wrong in our past. And we forget, don't we, that God's that compassionate. He forgives us. He doesn't treat us any differently. He doesn't say, well, look, you're on the naughty step. He looks after us, doesn't he? I ran away from God many years ago now. And part of that, only part of it, was because I was struggling to understand why God could forgive people who had done or was part of such hideous acts of violence and things in the world. I couldn't understand, so I ran. And even when I went back into church for a little while, only for a while, until he sort of sorted me out properly, when we said the Lord's Prayer, I'd struggle with the words, forgive those who trespass against us. I would struggle with them. You know, that was because I was thinking, how can this God forgive such things? And yet, you know, I struggled with it. I did struggle with it. And it's a dangerous path for us, because I'm sinning by thinking that, aren't I? But, you know, when he got me back, when he welcomed me back, as I said, he didn't say, Phil, you're on the naughty step. He blessed me abundantly. A bit like the prodigal son. He blessed me abundantly when I came back to Jesus. When I came back, he didn't punish me. His compassion was so great. He blessed me. So I'm just going to finish with just a few. How do we share God's compassion? Well, right away, we need to try and understand other people, don't we? Other people's experiences. We need to understand them without being judgmental. We need to use our time and talents and resources to meet the physical and emotional needs of those around us. As I said with Barbara, that day I would have took her place. That is such a difficult decision if it's a stranger. This was my wife I've been with all these years. And it wasn't a difficult decision then, it was such an easy decision. It'd be a lot more difficult if I had to stand and take the place of somebody who I didn't know. And a lot of people do what I'm going to say here now. I know East Oldham's very good at this. Give encouraging and kind words. Because everybody's carrying burdens. And a kind word can make all the difference. Just last week, Mike mentioned about just saying to somebody, no matter what the situation, God bless. It's a kind word. It's a kind word, and it does make a difference. And through kindness, show through compassion, acts of kindness. Put others' needs before our own. The night in the night shelter, I was putting my needs before others. Because I was the one saying, what am I doing here? That wasn't me putting my needs in front of others, was it? As it happened, I had quite a good night that night, because a few things happened there, a few conversations, and that said man, which I should say now, the following morning came and shook my hand and said, thanks very much, and went. He still abused me the following week, but that morning, he did come and shake my hand and say, thanks very much. So, just simple things, isn't it? Let practice forgiveness, avoid judgment, and be a presence. I think them are the main things, aren't they? And ultimately, sharing God's compassion is about letting God's love flow through you. Let His love flow through you. I thank you for listening. I've not been stood here trying to say I'm a saint. I've told you a few things there that are truthful, are honest things that have happened in my life where I haven't been compassionate. I could tell you hundreds more through my past life where my compassion has been zilch. And I've been hateful to people, I've been cruel to people, I wouldn't say I've been violent to people, I've never been a violent person, but I've certainly been not a nice person in past lives. And I know that God still loves me, I know that God still blesses me, and I know that God still looks after me and looks over me. So I thank you for listening, and we'll have another song now. I don't know who else is ready to pop it back on again. Just you start it, Elsie. If I'm talking, I'll just stop. Did you hear that then? Did you hear that rumble of applause then? Okay. I think people in the cafe were applauding then as well. Over there, over there. That's how I'll do it.
How
you all for turning up again. It's been one. I didn't think we'd see this many this week when we said it was me. No, I think a lot of you forgot, didn't you? That's when you start getting to our age. This is what happens, isn't it? Next week we've got Terry DeRose coming. I hope. I check with them every week, make sure they're still okay. But Terry's down for next week. The following week we've got Lee Marsland coming. Now that's the 21st. So if you're here now, which you are, please keep this in your mind. That week we're intending to start. I've just had a word with June and Glennis, and between us, I think we're looking at starting at 12:15. We did suggest 12, but that might be a bit. Glennis thinks that might be a bit too of a push for some people. So we will intend on the 21st, not next week, on the 21st to start at 12:15. It's just they need the room. They're going to set up a stage, but they want to set a load of candles up for this gig. And Anna's doing it on her own, so she wants to sort of get in at 1 o'clock. So I said, well, seeing as you're so nice with us, we'll do that. So if we can do that on the not next week, but the week after, we'll start at 12:15. Try, if you can, try and be here. Try and be here for 10:05 or whatever. Some of you here before that now. But we will start prompt at 12:15. So that we're running and we're on time. And then I'll just have to drag Lee off if he's still talking. So thank you all for coming again. Thank you guys. Thank you Elsie for helping out again. It's great to be part of this fantastic team because we are all a team. Sheila, is the card gone round?
Yes. Sheila's doing it.
Right. Well, Sheila, that's being part of a team. Bumped into me in the town centre and said, "Oh, Phil, if I go and get this card, can we do?" And that's being part of the team. You know, for Marion and for Marion and Fred.
Phil, can I just say I saw Fred this morning?
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he said Marion's doing really well.
Oh, brilliant.
She's on a treatment, of course.
Yeah.
But she's doing really well.
Oh, good. So
this morning.
They were both there? Oh, well, that's brilliant. That's great news. That's great news. That's answer to prayer, you'd say. That's answer to prayer. So, thank you all for coming once again. We'll see you all hopefully next week. I don't think there's anything else, is there, Elsie? No? No messages or anything? I can't think of anything else anyway. Alright guys, have a blessed week. Enjoy yourselves. Rachel, it's been lovely to see you, darling. You brought the average age down by about 10 years. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Give yourself a applause.